Hey, my name's Nick. I'm the Mystic Next Door, and today I want to share with you 3 rules for creating healthy boundaries in your life. This is something that people ask me about all the time, and the reason for it is because as somebody is on their self-love journey, right, as you're forming a more clear connection and cleaning up your relationship with yourself, that can affect your relationships with other people. Sometimes unhealthy patterns reveal themselves, and you need to know how to set new boundaries in your life that are supportive. And contrary to popular belief, or common misconceptions, creating healthy boundaries is actually one of the best things that you can do for your relationships. It doesn't cut off communication, it doesn't have to. It can actually open the doors to much more connection and much more authentic connection and care, and it's done through respect, right? So it becomes much more healthy and fulfilling for everybody. Now, if you're a people pleaser, you already know how stressful this can be in your life. It might even feel like that, like no matter what you do, it's never going to be good enough. It's never going to be enough, or that you're going to get it wrong in some way. And I don't need to tell you that's a really stressful and draining way to live. Maybe you've just got people in your life who are kind of those energy vampires, right? They're constantly kind of taking energy, taking time, and it just sort of feels like a drain. So whatever the reason, we'll get to that in a moment, but whatever the reason is for it, these ways to set healthy boundaries are really, really important, and I'm going to keep it super simple for you. So the fundamental problem oftentimes, particularly with people pleasing, is that you're looking outside yourself to get your needs fulfilled. You're looking for that other person to react in a certain way, to treat you in a certain way, so that you can feel a certain way about yourself, to feel good about yourself, to feel like you matter, to feel like they see you, to feel like, you're important, or whatever that need is. There's different variations of that story, but the fundamental problem remains the same, is you're looking for that from somebody else or from outside, and that sets up a really tricky dynamic, because human beings are human beings, and people get used to their patterns, and then when you're constantly in the role of pleasing, then they're constantly in the role of expecting that, right? Or looking for that from you, right? We form these dynamics. So another reason for this is that you might be a person that just doesn't like conflict. So you kind of conflict averse, and you don't want to rock the boat. And so you wind up just like, it's fine, it's fine. That'll probably be one of your mantras, is it's fine, it'll be okay, it's fine, I'm fine. And it's not, right? So if you're doing this, you probably already know it. You probably already see it in certain ways, but you might not know how to solve it. And that's why I want to share these things with you today. So number one, know your limits and know your tolerations. So if you don't know what you're capable of handling, or you're not clear on what you're willing or not willing to tolerate in your life, it's super hard to set a boundary. So you have to be really clear on, let's go with the tolerations first, what you're willing or not willing to tolerate. That could be certain behaviors, that could be certain situations or circumstances. It could be a certain group of people that you can hang out with for a certain amount of time, and then beyond that, you're just out. And that's okay. But you have to recognize and own that for yourself, so that you can know where your vulnerabilities are, and know how to take good care of yourself, or how to set yourself up to be in and out in an elegant way. So that brings me to the second point here. So that's number one, is knowing, right? Just knowing yourself well enough to know your limits and your tolerations around that. And secondly is to make it about you. Really make it about you. It comes back to the old, if you've ever been broken up this way, it's not you, it's me. Or maybe you've broken up with somebody else that way. In this case, it's really true. It's a truth of the matter, is that you are not capable or willing to deal with the situation or the person as they are. So you can either go down the long, hard road of trying to change that person and make them different, which is going to be stressful for them and stressful for you, or you can just accept them as they are and recognize your limitations around that. That's all about you. So what this does, I love this because it really allows you the opportunity to take responsibility for your part in it. And that is game changing. And you don't have to make them bad or wrong in order to do this. You can simply look at that person, see them as they are, and recognize that either you're not willing or you're not capable of dealing with them in that way. Right? Pretty simple, but oftentimes we kind of miss some of the nuances of this. We sort of jumble it all together. Well, sometimes they're really great and sometimes they're not, and you're not really recognizing fully where your limitations are and taking responsibility for that yourself. It's super easy to make it about that other person's choices or behavior, and it's not so easy always to really make it about yourself. That's key. It will change everything. Because that leads me to the third point here. The third rule for this is to be able to communicate clearly. Stop explaining yourself. You don't really actually owe anybody an explanation for how you want your life to be. Some simple ways to communicate clearly. If, say, for example, people want to hang out with you and you know that you're just either not up to it or you just don't want to. Doesn't matter. Whatever is the case there, I'm not available. You can just say that. You don't actually have to. One of the things that people do when they're uncomfortable, they get uncomfortable around that, so they start to explain and they start to over-explain, and that just sets up a dynamic where that person's going to keep trying to talk you in. You can simply say, I'm not available. If you're in a situation and you realize that, this is not something, I'm past my limits here, right? You can just go and you can simply say respectfully, I've got to go. It's time for me to go. Simple as that. When you get into that over-explaining, it creates a real problem. You can also set boundaries around topics, right? This is a popular one that I ran across, the political landscape. And so within families, there's divergent views, and politics and social issues become a really hot button, and it destroys communication and connection between loving family members. And one of the simple ways to communicate that is just to say, look, I'm probably not going to change your mind. You're probably not going to change my mind, but I love you and I want to spend time with you. So how about we talk about something else? Simple as that. Really keep it so simple and clear. The key to clear communication is simplicity. Just very, very simply saying what you got to say so that you can, right, just put it out there. And then bite your tongue, right? Don't start talking to fill the space. Just let them sit with that and respond in their own way. So we could go into a lot of this around communication particularly, but all of these things, there are actually deep underlying issues around it. See, because beyond creating, healthy and resilient relationships, when you set healthy boundaries in your life, you actually set and create an environment that you're able to grow and thrive beyond what you might have imagined before. And that is really exciting. And boundaries are a key part of that because they help you to stay in a healthy and supportive place for yourself, and to control the way in which, as best as you're able anyway, to control the way in which you expand those boundaries, right? So that instead of, being only able to spend 15 minutes with that person that you really love, but they just drive you insane, you are able to be more resilient. Maybe you can spend 30 minutes or 45 minutes or maybe even a whole afternoon just letting them be who they are and enjoying the show, right? A big part of this is self-respect and all the deep underlying ways that we tend to disrespect ourselves, violate those boundaries, and get pulled into things that are not necessarily healthy for us. Patterns and behaviors that are actually really destructive to what we actually want the experience of our lives to be. So really being able to look at this in a deep way is incredibly powerful. So I hope this has been helpful for you. If you want to learn more about this, take a deeper dive into it, or really take a comprehensive and powerful look at your relationship with yourself, I have tons of resources, including my course on self-love. If you want to check that out or learn more about it, I would love to be part of that conversation. All you have to do is go to my website or reach out to me. You can send me an email, nick@nickhansinger.com, and we can have that conversation. All right, until the next time, thank you so much. I love that you're here, and I love that you're part of this conversation. Can't wait to talk to you soon. Peace.